Hello, I am coming to you from the LG Garden, Anytime Fitness. This is a great place to work out. So since 1900, the Philippines has experienced moments of triumph, tragedy, revolution, and reinvention. From colonial rule to independence, dictatorship to democracy, war to economic growth. These events didn't just shape the nation, they reshaped the identity of the Filipino people. Today we're counting down the 10 biggest news stories to ever happen to the Philippines since 1900, based on their historical impact, global significance, and long-term consequences. So we're going to get right into that. I'm Mike, and welcome back to my channel. So the 10th biggest news event to hit the Philippines was in June of 1991. That was when Mount Pinatubo erupted. It was one of the largest volcanic eruptions of the 20th century. The explosion released massive ash clouds, lowered global temperatures, displaced over 1 million people, and forced the closure of U.S. military bases nearby. Entire towns were buried in ash and lahar, permanently altering central Luzon's geography. Beyond the destruction, Pinatubo showcased the importance of science and disaster preparedness, but thousands of lives were saved due to early warnings. Still, the eruption left scars that are visible to this day. Number 9 on my list, Typhoon Yolanda in 2013. Typhoon Yolanda was one of the strongest tropical cyclones ever recorded, making landfall in November of 2013. With winds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour and massive storm surges, Yolanda devastated the eastern Visayas, particularly Tacloban City. Over 6,000 people were killed and millions were displaced. The storm exposed weaknesses in disaster response and infrastructure, but it also sparked unprecedented global aid and Filipino resilience. Yolanda changed how the Philippines and the world views climate vulnerability. Number 8 on my list, the 1946 Declaration of Philippine Independence. On July 4th, 1946, the Philippines officially gained independence from the United States. How ironic it is that it would happen on the 4th of July, 170 years to the day following the signing of the U.S. Declaration of Independence. After centuries of Spanish rule and nearly 50 years under American control, the nation finally stood on its own. The event marked the birth of the Third Philippine Republic in full sovereignty. While independence came with economic and political challenges, it symbolized the culmination of decades of struggle and sacrifice. It was the beginning of a new self-governing Philippines. Number 7, the rise of the overseas Filipino workers, 1970s to the present. Beginning in the 1970s, one of the largest demographics of people going to work overseas came from the Philippines. Millions of Filipinos left to work abroad as seafarers, nurses, construction workers, caregivers, and professionals. Today, OFW remittances are a backbone of the Philippine economy, accounting for billions of dollars annually. This phenomenon reshaped Filipino families, culture, and identity, creating economic opportunity. It also meant that families would be separated from each other for long periods of time. Number 6, the Battle of Manila in 1945. The Battle of Manila was one of the most devastating urban battles of World War II. As Japanese forces retreated and American troops advanced, the city was subjected to massive destruction. Over 100,000 civilians were killed, and Manila, once known as the Pearl of the Orient, was reduced to rubble. The battle left a permanent mark on the nation's psyche and remains one of the darkest chapters in Philippine history. Number 5, the 2016 election of Rodrigo Duterte. Rodrigo Duterte's election as president marked a dramatic shift in Philippine politics. Running on a law and order platform, Duterte launched a controversial war on drugs that drew international attention and criticism. His presidency reshaped foreign policy, moving closer to China while challenging traditional Western alliances. Whether viewed as a reformer or a strongman, Duterte's tenure fundamentally altered political discourse, governance, and civil liberties in the Philippines. Number 4, the Japanese occupation of the Philippines, 1942 to 1945. During World War II, Japan occupied the Philippines after defeating American and Filipino forces. The occupation was marked by brutality, forced labor, food shortages, and widespread suffering. Guerrilla resistance flourished, and ordinary Filipinos endured extreme hardships. This period tested national resilience and unity and laid the groundwork for post-war nationalism and the eventual demand for full independence. Number 3, the declaration of martial law. In September 1972, President Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law, fundamentally changing the country overnight. Civil liberties were suspended, media was shut down, political opponents were arrested, and power was centralized under Marcos. While infrastructure projects expanded, corruption, debt, and human rights abuses skyrocketed. Martial law polarized the nation, and its legacy remains one of the most debated and emotional issues in Philippine history. Number 2, the assassination of Benigno Ninoy Aquino Jr. in 1983. On August 21, 1983, opposition leader Ninoy Aquino Jr. was assassinated upon returning to the Philippines. His death shocked the nation and ignited mass protests against the Marcos regime. Millions of Filipinos, previously silent or fearful, began openly demanding change. The assassination became a catalyst for a democratic uprising and marked the beginning of the end for authoritarian rule. And that uprising led to the People Power Revolution in 1986. It remains the #1 news event of the Philippines in the last 126 years. The People Power Revolution of 1986 was one of the most important democratic movements in modern history. After allegations of massive election fraud, millions of Filipinos gathered peacefully along EDSA. Backed by religious leaders, defecting military officials, and ordinary citizens, the movement forced Ferdinand Marcos into exile. Without widespread violence, the Philippines restored democracy and inspired similar movements around the world. People power wasn't just a political victory, it was a defining moment of national identity, proving that peaceful, collective action could change history. From colonization and war to revolution and resilience, these 10 events shaped the Philippines into the nation that it is today. History isn't just about the past. It explains the present and warns us about the future. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Philippine history, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments which event you think had the biggest impact or which story deserves its own full episode. Be sure to hit that bell notification. Then you can be aware of future videos. God bless and peace out.